Hey guys, it's V2 Vengeance, and today we'll be comparing the two tier 10 German heavy tanks, the E100 and the Mouse. So, taking it off with stats, the E100 has 2700 health points and the Mouse has 3000, the Mouse being the tank with the most HP in the whole game, the E100 being the second. As far as the armor goes, overall turret E100 has 250mm at the front, 150 at the sides, 150 at the rear. The Mouse has 240mm at the front, 210 at the sides and 210 at the rear. So basically overall the armor on the turret with the Mouse is much better. Overall as thickness it's much better, but the 100 has a stronger frontal turret armor. Now the hull is on the 100 200 at the front, 130 on the sides, and plus the spaced armor it gets up to 180mm of spaced armor and 150 at the rear. The Mouse has 200mm at the front at 45 degrees. Now even though they have the same frontal armor as far as the thickness goes, the 100's upper plate is a lot better angled than the Mouse. It's angled at about 60 degrees, but the 100 has a much weaker lower plate than the Mouse, but we'll get on that later when we reach weak points. And the side armor of the Mouse is 185 and the rear is 165. So overall again the Mouse has the better armor, but if we take the fronts only, the 100 seems stronger if you can hide that lower plate. Now as far as the mobility goes, both tanks have very powerful engines. The 100 has a 1200 horsepower engine and the Mouse has a 1750 horsepower engine, but the Mouse is a lot heavier. The Mouse weighs 188 tons while the 100 weighs 130 tons. Now as far as the gun goes, the 100 has the KVK 150mm L38 while the Mouse has the KVK 128mm. The main difference of those guns, actually they're very different guns, what am I saying. The gun on the 100 has 750 average damage, 235mm of penetration, 0.4 accuracy and 2.7 seconds aiming time. The gun on the Mouse has 490 average damage, 246mm of penetration and an accuracy of 0.38, 2.7 seconds aiming time. So overall accuracy is pretty similar. The penetration on the 100 is lower by 11mm. Most of the time that doesn't really make a difference. Sometimes it does, but to be honest pretty rarely. And very big difference in the alpha damage of the two guns, 750 the 100 and 490 as I said before the Mouse. Really big difference. The gun on the 100 is very punchy and it really hurts when you get penetrated by it, even in a Mouse, because as you could see when I'm going to exemplify actually the weak points of the tank, and you're going to see the Mouse getting penetrating twice, you're going to see just how much health that tank loses. Imagine being in an IS-7, the 100 is going to kill you in 3 shots if it manages to penetrate all the shots. Probably is never going to penetrate, but still, you know, if he's a hit noob, you never really know. Other than that, both tanks have the same view range of 400 meters and the same signal range of 720 meters. Now let's see the difference in the turning speed of those two tanks. So you can actually see the very big difference in the traverse speed of the 100. This is on ×1 speed. So this is actually, you can see actually how slow the Mouse is. So the E100 has finished its rotation and the Mouse is still rotating, and just look at this. And seeing this, we get to the point where we notice, we can fairly say that even though they are both slow tanks, the E100 is a race car compared to the Mouse. Also let's see some turret turning to see which turret turns faster. Actually we have the numbers appearing on the screen right now, and fair enough to say the E100 turret turned faster. You could say that maybe when I recorded this video, I tried to move both turrets as quickly as possible. I think there were two people. I did the playing in the mouse and my friend in the E100, so I tried to turn the turrets as fast as possible because I saw that it looked like the image was a little bit laggy. So I don't want you to think that I did it on purpose. You know, just look at the numbers. The turret traverse speed on the E100 is a lot quicker. Now let's see a drag race. So we're going to see actually the difference in acceleration between those two tanks again. So as you can see, when at the first acceleration the mouse is quicker at about 10 kilometers to 15, and after that, when the mouse reaches its top speed, as you can see, the 100 just blasts forward, so to say. So you can actually see that the 100 is faster, unless you track him, of course. So now that we've seen the mobility of those two tanks overall, let's go really to some armor analysis and see what are the weak points of those two tanks. And let's get to it. So first, let's see the weak points of the 100. First of all, we have the lower plate. Secondly, we have this viewport here, but only the middle part. As you're going to see, the exterior is only going to damage the enemy tank's weak points. Sorry, not weak points, viewports. And also, if you have big enough penetration, the turret ring and also the top armor if you are tall enough to shoot. Now what I'm going to demonstrate here is the fact that if you're shooting from a very close distance, penetrating the upper part of the lower plate of the 100 is really a pretty hard job. So let's see. So first of all, let's see the viewpoints. Not a problem to penetrate. Now turret ring. Shooting at the turret ring really is best when you to shoot as close as possible to the middle, but as you can see, 246 millimeters of penetration are really not enough to penetrate the ring on the 100. So not really a chance. Right there, I think I hit the gun on the 100, but still my point is that, as you can see there, for lower penetration gun is not a weak point. Also, this thing over the gun mantle of the 100 is not a weak spot. The little ears again are not a weak spot. Now we're going to see the lower plate. If you shoot at the upper part of the lower plate, bounce, because the mouse is so high that if you shoot from a closer distance, it's a lot harder to penetrate. Now you're going to see if you shoot from afar, it suddenly gets a lot easier. And again, so it's all about really the angle. And another thing, this upper part here of the lower plate is thickly armored. I don't exactly know if I don't think it appears on the tank is better, but as you can see from the same angle that I penetrated down, I wasn't able to penetrate higher, proving my point. Now let's see on the other way around. So first of all, the lower plate, as you could see, the weak points of the mouse are the turret cheeks and the lower plate. There isn't really other weak points. If you try shooting here or here, you won't do anything. And let's see, shooting at the turret cheek, penetrating hit. And those, as I said before, those are really the weak points of the mouse. If you try shooting otherwise, like here, as you can see, no damage done. Or the viewport on the top, again, not a weak point, no damage done, not even knocked out my viewports. So you pretty much got my point. Now that we've seen really the armor, the weak points of both tanks, and right here you could see that I was able to show that last weak point that I talked about on the E100. I wasn't really able to show this bit here. If you're tall enough, like in the mouse, and you try to hit the top armor, you're going to penetrate. This also goes for artillery hit. If artillery hits anywhere around here, same goes on the mouse, because the top armor is on both tanks, I think 60 millimeters. Artillery, if it manages to hit the top, it's going to do massive damage. So now that we've seen really the basic stats, and also if we compared the mobility of both tanks, and now that I showed you the weak points of both tanks, let's see the tanks in action. So let's see some 1v1 action. Now I was playing as the mouse, and my friend is the E100 driver. Actually, he is the E100 driver, he's playing the E100. I rushed my first shot, but I know that at this range really he can't really penetrate me. I just failed really a couple of times. My mistake, sorry. And aiming for the upper, actually not the upper, the viewport on the E100, wasn't really able to hit it. He fires at me again, and I know for sure, knowing the penetration on the E100, he can't do anything to me if I'm angled. Now I should be getting a little bit closer. This will also be in my advantage as well as in his advantage. The position that he's in lets him side scrape at me, so I keep myself angled as well as the turret, and he shoots, doesn't penetrate. On the other hand, I hit him right in the front wheel drive, and I managed to take some health off and also knock his track off. He tries to do the same thing, but he doesn't really manage it. Trying to hit him in the same spot, I knock his track off, but don't really do some damage. And this is going to be a boring fight, isn't it? Let's put it on double speed, because those two tanks really fighting one against the other. And in my opinion, the mouse is probably the best 1v1 tank in the game, unless you're on Malinovka and you're fighting against a medium tank. So as you can see, he can't do anything to my front of the turret, where my normal weak spot is if I keep it angled. And I know his reload is longer than mine, and he hasn't got a chance. Because of the lower penetration on the 100, usually is not that big of a problem, but when you're fighting against the mouse, the best tank armored overall in the game, because frontal at 95 is better armored, but overall the mouse is better armored. The D95 only at the front. So why I think is the best tank in the game, because it has the best armor, it has the most health to take a beating, and its gun is good enough to kill most of the tanks that it's fighting against at short combat. Probably the IS-7 is a problem because of its low profile. Still, I haven't tried really something serious, a mouse against an IS-7. So what I was saying before, the mouse probably one of the best tanks 1v1 in the game. Like if you're fighting a mini tank, so they can't go around you, so on and so forth. And we have to come to the conclusion of this video. What is the best of those two tanks? Now first we need to get their roles. Do they fulfill a better role, other roles, or do they fulfill the same role? I think they fulfill the same role. They have to go to the place where they think the most enemy tanks will be, side scrape, and try to put as much damage into the enemies as possible. The E100 is the type of tank that can be played more aggressive than the mouse. The mouse is too slow, and with the mouse, even if you go on a flank and you manage to, say, be the last survivor and somehow manage to kill all the enemy tanks, still you won't be able to get to the other flank in time to help your team. With the E100 you can totally do that due to the increased top speed. So even though at holding a street the mouse seems better because it has a rear turret and it's better side armored, I think the E100 is better, and I'm going to tell why. It's because of the gun. It's because in an E100, in a fight on a village, let's say actually in urban environment, it's where it's best for both tanks, the E100 stands a lot better, because it can dish out the damage a lot more than a mouse. Even if the mouse had 3500 health points, I would still choose an E100 over the mouse. So those were my 2 cents on those two big and heavy German tier 10 heavy tanks. Now you may have a different opinion. Of course, I'm free and I'm actually glad to hear them and post them in the comments if you have them. And if you enjoyed this video and you found it educative, please don't forget to rate and maybe subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Have an absolutely awesome day.